Hey, welcome into today's show here on JTV, brought to you by the Insurance Circle Agency. I'm David Rice. That's Adam. Hello, Adam.
Hey, man. How's it going?
Good. Big weekend. The Tigers.
We did
the biggest one.
We did it.
We did it, Joe.
We did it.
The Tigers are in the playoffs. You had a birthday. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thanks,
and that
man.
was a great way to celebrate, too, that we had a good football game Friday night. The Tigers made the playoffs. Michigan won. That was ugly. We'll talk about that.
but they still got the win.
But they got the
still
win.
Got the win.
And the Lions play tonight.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, can't beat that. And we still have 3 undefeated teams left in the area, too, after Friday. Leslie, Springport, and Hanover Horton. So we will get to that. But high school football, Week 5 happened over the weekend. Let's get started. 3 local teams remain undefeated following Friday. Leslie won a battle of undefeateds over Manchester. That was a big win for them. And they are really on a collision course. Right now it's going to look like Leslie versus Hanover in the Cascades Championship game. Another Leslie versus Wing T team. Hanover, of course, undefeated, and Springport in the Big 8. How about that? Coach Pack and the Spartans are 5-0. Our first game, Jonesville. This was a big one. Surprising. They got a big win, 46-0 over Addison. John Milks, 202 yards on 19 carries and 2 scores for Jonesville. The Panthers are now 2-0. They started out 2-0, and now they're 2-3. And Jonesville was 1-0 to start the season. They lost 3 straight and got a big win, so they're 2-3. Jonesville will host Columbia on Friday. And speaking of Vandercook and Columbia, before we get to the highlights from the game, I have to mention this because I know they're watching. And you looked at the post too. Mm-hmm. Columbia Central Barstool. We made the post.
That was hysterical. That made me laugh
somebody
pretty hard.
texted me and said, "Did you see the post?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
So, because of that, I will be picking Columbia the rest of the way out now.
Perfect. I was about
Unless
to say,
if they play Hanover.
is it?
Then
I don't know if it's pick time yet, but I have my choice for that game next week or for this coming week.
And
Jonesville, Columbia Central.
I know who you're picking.
Oh, okay. I'll just get it out of the way now. I'll pick Jonesville in that game. I think Jonesville's the better team, and I've been picking them recently this year. So.
Hey, we're gonna make social media.
Yeah, we are.
We keep up the picks against them.
That's just hysterical, man.
But hey, no, we do appreciate you sharing the clip though and for watching.
Of course.
But Columbia did beat Vandercook though, 55-18. They got a big win on Friday. Columbia Central freshman Julian Boardman, the freshman, 154 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns, and only carried the football 7 times.
That's a good game. That's efficient, man. That's efficient.
And the Jayhawks are now 1-4. They will travel to Hanover on Friday. We'll have that game on JTV. More on that at the end of the show. And of course, Columbia goes to Jonesville. 8-man action. Concord, they got a big bounce back win over Morenci, 32-16. Columbia 3-2 now. Coach Max Clark told our Jeff Steers, we played really well. Our kids executed the halftime adjustments really well and came out in the second half and finished business. So big win for Concord. The Battle of Leone also happened on Friday. That's my township, but I wasn't at that game. Michigan Center, big win, and they got the Leone jug. You know, there's a jug for that game, actually.
That's cool, like the Michigan-Minnesota jug, the big brown jug?
Yeah, the big
cool.
Leone jug. Center beat EJ 48-0. Doesn't get any easier for EJ, unfortunately. They play at Manchester on Friday, and Michigan Center hosts Grass Lake. And because Grass Lake lost to Napoleon, that's a big Cascades East game now in the standings, Center in Grass Lake. So, of course, watching the highlights here, Center EJ. You can check out more highlights from that game online at jtv.tv. And we got a chance to talk to Michigan Center coach Troy Allen after the game. This was a great bounce-back win for him and his kids. Let's take a look.
Yeah, it's just exciting, you get a lot of kids that work their tail off and maybe don't always get. We had a bunch of close games for the most part, So just getting everybody in there makes a happy family, and I'm really excited to see what that does for us moving forward. It's been probably one of the most challenging years that I've been part of, and to see the resilience of the kids, it's next man up, and we saw that tonight, and hopefully it continues moving forward because we still got a lot of work to do. We still need to work on our tackling. There's too many missed tackles, frustrating, and you're not going to get away with that moving forward. But I think there's definitely some things that we'll work on. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the 0. Yeah, Grass Lake's always been a great battle for us, and we've had tons of really close games going, whichever way. So, but for us, it's about finishing the season right, getting to 6-3, which is quite a journey for us. So, we'll be more than ready. I can promise that. Oh, I think they're having a ton of fun because they're seeing all that the guys that put a lot of time in but just haven't, been in the game, have smiles on their faces because they got an opportunity to do, some of the stuff they've been able to do. And that's what you want to see. It's an unselfish kind of nature to the team, and hopefully they'll kind of celebrate a little bit because it'll be back to business real soon.
So that was a great bounce-back win for Michigan Center. Good for Coach Troy Allen. We've talked about it a lot on the show, Adam. Now that Center's 2-3, they're pretty. We know the weapons that they do have and the skill players, but they're pretty banged up. So it's been a tough season for them.
Yeah, they're better than their record suggests,
right.
For sure. I mean, we looked at there were some tough games that they had, and just really
still
close
have
games.
a couple. They still have another tough game, of course, Grass Lake this week.
Yeah, coming off a loss for Grass Lake as well. So it's
right. And they still have to play Manchester, so that's another big East game. So Hanover continuing their dominance in a Cascades West battle. They beat Homer 63-0. They ran nearly 300 yards in the victory. Austin Hochter, 128 yards and 2 scores. Hanover hosts the Cook, and Homer will host Addison for senior night this week. Jackson High, they fell. They've lost to Ypsi Community.
Darn, I was hoping they'd be able to pick up that win. 5-0 would look really good, but
27-20. Jackson will host Adrian this Friday.
What's the scouting report on Adrian?
They played Chelsea this last Friday, and of course, Jay High plays Chelsea in a couple weeks. We'll be there.
Yeah.
I don't remember who ended up winning that game, Chelsea, Adrian. I'll have to look during the break.
Yeah.
But that's a very good SEC White Conference, though. Chelsea, Adrian, Tecumseh, Jackson.
Right, good teams there.
They're all in the mix, and of course, Jay High already beat Tecumseh. So they still have Chelsea and Adrian to play. Adrian this week and then Chelsea next week. So the 2 biggest games on their schedule, even though they just lost Ypsi Community, their 2 toughest games are still coming up for Jay High, though, in the next 2 weeks. Lumen Christi shut out Divine Child on the road 35-0. Aiden Hutchinson was there for Divine Child.
Pretty cool.
Cadale Williams, 166 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lumen Christi will host Toledo DeSales this Friday. Another out-of-town team way out coming in to play Lumen Christi. First, they played Canadians. And
I was going to say, this schedule's crazy.
Yeah, now they play Toledo. Northwest, they were up 13-12 at halftime, and Marshall rallied and ended up beating the Mounties 28-27. Northwest scored late, but only came up 1 point short. Northwest will travel to Berkeley High School up in the Thumb area for a noon kickoff on Saturday.
Noon kickoff on Saturday. Okay.
They have to get up really early and go all the way to the Thumb to play at noon on Saturday. You think they'd stay overnight? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how they do that.
So Northwest falls short. Springport, of course, goes to 5-0 over Quincy, 48-7. Right at the start, they got a 78-yard kickoff return for a touchdown to open up the game. Springport travels to Reading. Their field is about the same as Homer. Their football and baseball field intersect.
Oh.
It's one of those fields.
I was going to say it's like Oakland, like the Coliseum in Oakland back in the day.
Exactly. So Springport travels to Reading on Friday. Western got it done through the air. They had a nice bounce back win over Coldwater 49-7. Reed Myers 9 of 12, 210 and 4 touchdowns. Western hosting Harper Creek, who's another team around the playoff mix right now for homecoming. So another big game coming up for Western.
Yeah, and that'll be a big homecoming game as well. That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah. Another big one. This was probably the biggest one other than Grass Lake Napoleon in the area. Leslie, Manchester. We thought coming in, will Leslie continue as much success as they've had throwing the ball and even running the ball? And they did. They passed another big test, beating Manchester 45-28. Their quarterback, by the way, is just a sophomore, Cranmore. He's still playing ridiculous. 265 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. So
that's a good offense, man. That Leslie team has a good offense. I can't wait to see them against other players.
When Leslie still has to play Grass Lake, 2 passing teams like that.
Oh, man. I would love to see that game.
And Jaden Colby also had a 99-yard kickoff return for a score in that game as well. Leslie hosts Napoleon, and Manchester will go to EJ this week. Stockbridge now 0-5. They fell to Reading 20-13, and Hillsdale dropped one to Adrian Madison 30-8. And our last game, the one we were at live on JTV, 30-26. I'll let you go first, Adam. Your takeaways from that game.
That was a great game.
Yeah.
That was a great game. It was so funny watching kind of what I predicted in that game. I said, like,
right.
if Napoleon was able to run the ball and run the ball well, they are just going to roll over him because there's just not going to be enough time left. And they really did control the clock.
I've always said the wing tee is my favorite formation in football.
It's fun.
They're going to run the football, smash mouth, and have a good defense, make the stop that they needed, and they did, eat up the clock and win the game.
I mean, dude, they're getting like 3 yards every carry. There's a couple carries that went a little bit longer, but I felt like it was like 3 yards, 2 yards every carry. It was just enough. I don't know how many fourth down conversions they had, but I feel like that there had to be
too many to count.
There had to be 10 fourth down conversions. It was nuts. But you know what? It did ultimately come down to Grass Lake at the end. They had a chance to win it after all of that and just couldn't get it done. Penalty was a big killer to make it like 3rd and 18. That's tough at the end of the game.
Yeah, honestly, I think if that penalty didn't happen, it would have been 4 down. I know it was still technically 4 down territory then for Grass Lake.
Yeah, but you're going to
But
18,
it really, right, it would have been true 4th down or 4 down territory for Grass Lake had the penalty not happened. And I think because they still had clock too, and I know they had to get a lot of yards. It was like 3rd and a country mile, but they didn't need to get all of it on 3rd down.
No, but you can also blame too. There were 2 dropped passes on that play.
There were some big drops by Grass Lake in the second half that they really needed. Napoleon took over with 9 minutes left in the game and took up 7 of the last 9 minutes. Went down there, ran the football, scored, and ultimately won the game. Jaden Service ran for 102 yards, number 4 for Napoleon, and 3 touchdowns. He had a great game. The Pirates had more than 350 total rushing yards in that game. Braden Lape still finished with 3 touchdowns and 184 yards. And Bryant Cook, our spotlight player that we had coming in, and Jacob Collins combined 33 tackles for Grass Lake on the defense. Napoleon now 3-2 goes to Leslie. That's a big one. And Grass Lake goes to Michigan Center. So this week is the big week for the Cascades East and really see how it shakes out. So that way when it comes down to week 8 or 9, we know, we'll know by then who's left.
For sure. Napoleon Leslie sounds very interesting to me because, again, you have like the most dominant passing offense.
And it's 2 really young teams, too.
Yeah.
I know Leslie's 5-0 and they're doing really well, but they're still a young team. So imagine their quarterback in 2 years when he's a senior.
Oh,
even
man.
Better. He'll be getting looked at by then, I would imagine. Well, I tell you what, he's already thrown 3-4 touchdowns a game now as a sophomore.
People are looking at him now, but with that Napoleon game, that's going to be interesting because Napoleon could be a team that could beat them if things happen right and they control the clock and control this game. It could be what we saw, at Napoleon against Grass Lake.
So because of Grass Lake's loss, as of right now, going into week 6, they are currently not in the 32 teams now to make the playoffs. And that's because of the new point system. And because Grass Lake's Division 6, they lost to a Division 7 school, Napoleon, so they got only a few points from that, and they lost. So right now, Grass Lake is not in the playoffs.
That doesn't seem right.
Well, they wouldn't have to play Lumen Christi first.
Well, then there you go.
First round. But in Napoleon coming into last week, they were tied for the 32nd spot. So right now they're in the playoffs. So we still have quite a few teams in the area who will make the playoffs, and of course we'll keep you updated. Next week on Monday's show, we'll share the teams that are in the playoffs right now and where they would play if the playoffs started this week. So, but a lot of good games in the area. You can check out more highlights from this game and all the other games and more coach interviews, of course, online at jtv.tv and on our Facebook and on the locker room as well. So they're everywhere. So go watch them. But we do have a great show coming up. We will get to our top plays in a couple of minutes. We had some great plays in that game. It was hard for me to pick.
I was going to say, when I was cutting the highlights, I was thinking to myself, like, what is David going to pick for these top plays? Because there was a lot of them.
And, of course, we'll talk Tigers. They'll play Houston at 2:30 in the afternoon on Tuesday.
I gotta wake up early and come into work early so I can get my hours in, so I can go home early so I can watch this game.
Hey, if anybody higher up than us is watching,
Can it be a holiday?
I am not watching the Tigers game right now. I'm totally not watching while I'm working.
Exactly. That's why I'm not even hiding it, and I'm just gonna try to come in early. And
I might just come up here and work while I have the game on.
Hey, in the podcast room.
Yeah, hey, we'll have it right there. Right there.
You go.
And it'll be on ABC too, so it'll be easy to get. So
ABC doing baseball?
Yeah, I saw that.
I assume, is that just like the ESPN crew, I guess, but it's just,
Well, I wonder who their announcers are going to be. It might be Carl Ravitch and who does Sunday Night Baseball.
That's what I was thinking.
But there's also games on ESPN2, though, not regular ESPN, but ESPN2.
Then I wonder what the crew is. Yeah.
I'm surprised TBS isn't. I know they do the ALNLDS in the championship series, but I thought they'd be doing at least one wild card game or series. But
yeah, it looks like
guess
ESPN must have that exclusive rights for the wild card. But then, once you go into like the DS and the American League Championship Series, it starts to get further away from them.
We also had a lot of good top 25 college football games, including Georgia, Alabama.
Ugh.
What a game.
That was such a good game. My heart was just, my heart couldn't take it, man.
Well, even on the broadcast when Napoleon was going down to score, he was getting nervous. Did you remember that? He said, I got to take my heart pills. So right before the play, I said, get your pills out, Dan. Here comes Napoleon.
That's too funny.
And we will talk about, I wrote it on the paper. I can't say it on TV, what I want to say about the Packers. Well, but they do suck.
You guys couldn't do... The one time I was rooting for you guys, and you guys couldn't beat Minnesota.
I don't even want to talk about it because I will yell right at the camera. I am not happy
We'll save that
about
for the
that
end.
game. Please, or we can scratch it. The Ravens dominated, too. Derrick Henry had another monster game.
That looked good for fantasy, I'll tell you that.
Well, I'm not on my fantasy team.
Oh, no.
So I'm playing Tommy Two-Tone this week, 8-6-7-5-309.
Oh, man.
And Tommy Two-Tone is doing better than me.
Yeah, that's not good, man.
So the Entourage or Tommy Two-Tone, that's a great matchup.
That's so good. That's so nice.
Anyways, golf playoffs, local high school golf playoffs, actually, they already start next week, October 8th, girls golf regionals. So we will have the matchups for that coming up at the end of the show as well. So when we come back, we'll get to our Pataki Orthodontics top 5 plays of the week. Stay tuned. Welcome back here on JTV. I'm David Rice. We've got some great top plays thanks to the Insurance Circle Agency and thanks to Pataki Orthodontics. A great smile, always in style at Pataki. 3 locations in Grass Lake, Hillsdale, and Coldwater. PatakiOrtho.com and have your smile your way. Let's get to our top 5 plays of the week here. Let's get started at number 5. Let's go to the second half. 9 minutes left here in the third quarter. Ashton Warner, we talked to him at Media Days for Napoleon. They're running back number 20, a long 3rd and 15 run for a first down. Dan Gallagher mentioned this on the broadcast. He said even though they're a wing T team, that's still a gutsy play call on 3rd and 15 in your territory.
And then they got it.
And they got
crazy.
more than 15 yards, too.
It was one of those things where the way they were running the ball all night, I was just like, of course they're going to get this. And they did. It was insane.
At number 4, let's go back to the beginning of the game, the first quarter. Grass Lake's first touchdown pass, 1 of 3 from Braden Lape and 1 to the other senior, number 21, Jacob Collins. He's able to shake off the defense and get Grass Lake on the board to start the game. And number 3, Napoleon's long drive right after that. Like we talked about, the fact they're going to run the ball and their clock management. We'll just say they definitely took clock here at number 3. They took off all 9 minutes left in the first quarter and ended in great blocking by the offensive line for a touchdown here. I know that's really a whole drive as the top play, but had to give credit to that offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, that offensive line made that. I don't know who you guys picked as the player of the game, but I know
we actually picked the whole line.
Good, I was going to say, because I know Dan Gallagher out of anyone would want to pick the entire offensive line, but it's true. That was a group effort. They dominated in that game.
Well, without that line, that type of offense doesn't work.
So that's why, and it's like after they score, I did like the touch that after they score a touchdown, Napoleon, they read off the offensive line members, because they don't get the credit that they deserve. They really do make that offense work.
Right. At number 2, 9:30 to play in the game in the fourth quarter. Grass Lake had a great touchdown pass leaping from Lape to Bryant Cook.
I thought this was going to be the top play. When it happened, that was a great play.
I know. He lunged up, got it, brought it down, back of the end zone, got the foot in to make it 26-22 with 9:21 left. But if you watch the game, you knows what happens next. Because at number 1, Napoleon, another long drive in the fourth quarter. They took up 7 of the last 9 minutes to go down there and take the lead and win 30-26 here with 2:22 to play. Again, another great example of Napoleon's great offensive line. They ate the clock, smash mouth, run the football, and they won the game. And that's the way I like to see football. So
it's fun.
Smash mouth, run the football, get the big guys in and win the football game.
Get that Vince Lombardi style offense for you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Vince Lombardi. Go Pack. He wouldn't have been proud of
He would not have liked
He would have
how you
been
guys
really
performed.
pissed.
But he would have loved Napoleon though.
Any type of offense like that.
Yeah.
So those are our top 5 plays of the week thanks to they're right there. Thanks to Pataki Orthodontics. So thank you. Grass Lake and Coldwater and Hillsdale. So hey, when we come back, the Detroit Tigers, they are in the playoffs for the first time in 10 years. And we'll break down college football and the NFL from week 4. So the Tigers are in, and they are next. Welcome back here on JTV. I'm David Rice. Thanks to Pataki Orthodontics for our top plays. I'm David. That's Adam. Had a good birthday weekend. Of course, the Tigers now.
Tigers, man.
Are in the playoffs. Where's the sound effect when we need it? But, yeah, see? There we go. Thank you. The Tigers are in the playoffs for the first time in 10 years, winning just 1 of 3 versus the White Sox.
Which is fine. Here's my...
I know, but still, the Tigers, backups essentially against the White Sox.
I know, but here's the thing. I've come to work hungover before, and I'm not playing baseball. Can you imagine how hungover they must have been going into that game against Chicago?
What people I was talking to over the weekend said. They're just hungover.
Yeah,
fine.
And yeah, it's fine. They're looking towards Houston. They knew those games at that point didn't matter, so they're looking towards Houston. So I'm happy about that.
Clinched the playoffs for the first time in 10 years, including Jason Benetti getting beer bathed
so
pretty much in the locker room.
He is just the best.
He got hammered after they went off the air.
Yeah,
for sure.
Him and Derek Skubal just got hammered that night.
AJ Hinch, I'm sure. So
yeah.
All of them.
It's a fun group, man. It's a fun group.
I really liked, though, the broadcast, watching clips back of it at the end when they made the playoffs and the whole, jubilation, the celebration, and then the locker room. Just a cool sight to watch.
And it's so cool that it got to be at home, and it's so cool that we got to see it. That this wasn't one of those things where it's like Minnesota just lost, so then we're in. It's like, no, we actually won a game to get in. So it was nice to see for sure.
So the Tigers will play at Houston, the Astros, with Skubal starting game 1, the Triple Crown winner now. And, of course, he will win the Cy Young.
For sure. And they're facing Valdez, Framber Valdez, who is an awesome pitcher. He's their ace. He's been great. So it'll be interesting to see what, how many innings he's going to go, and if they're going to let Tarek kind of just
talking
do his
about
thing. Valdez. Yeah,
Yeah.
to see how far he goes. But, I'm just hoping that the Tigers bats just can wake up like they have been, timely hitting. That's what you want in the postseason. We have relief pitching and timely hitting. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, they'll play at Houston Tuesday afternoon, actually, in the wild card round.
Keep your ear open for those trash cans, by the way. Just making sure.
Yeah. 2:30 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. Playoff baseball at 2:30 in the afternoon. Who comes up with this?
That sucks.
What? Who's watching at 2:30?
Especially game 1 of the wild card series. That's a big game.
Yeah, like maybe if it was like the ALCDS, like game 3 or something.
Which I know they'll do, but they won't do it game 1 or a deciding game or anything like that. So it's weird.
I guess if people watch March Madness while they're at work, they can watch the Tigers.
Yeah,
while
that's
they're
right.
at work.
That's right.
And it'll be on ABC, so they don't have to find Bally or somebody who has Bally. So we can finally get rid of Bally Sports. Not the announce, but just I wonder what the future is going to be like.
I've already canceled that Bally Sports Plus subscription because it's just like, well, that I use that to watch the Tigers. Don't need it anymore. So.
Right. Well, you won't need it to watch the Pistons. I don't know who would watch them.
I'm not watching the Pistons right now.
The Red Wings I think they'll make the playoffs. No, I'm not a hockey guy, so when it comes hockey season, I will not talk about the Red Wings, not because I don't like them, but because I'm not a hockey guy.
Yeah, we'll mention if stuff happens, but
sure. So you might need Bally for them, and then, of course, if they even have Bally next year, who knows? But Detroit back in the playoffs, playing at Houston Tuesday afternoon on ABC. Interesting, ABC having playoff baseball.
Didn't know they were going to do that, but I assume it'll just be an extension of the baseball broadcast on ESPN. So,
well, the only major 4 sports that they don't have a championship for is the NFL, and that's the Super Bowl, because the finals are on ABC, ESPN, the Stanley Cup, and the World Series is on Fox. I think
that's right. World Series is on Fox, correct?
But they have a lot of the playoff games.
They do.
College football happened. The Wolverines now are number 10 after the new rankings yesterday. But they were number 12. They hosted Minnesota on a rainy Saturday in Ann Arbor. I did not go. This was probably a good weather week for me.
I was going to say, that was a good one to miss in terms of weather, for sure.
But I still came down here to downtown, though, to the Fall Fest and Chili Classic and kept up with the game. That was a good time down here. Real quick, I know we're talking about the Tigers. That was a great time down here. We got rained on, but it was really good. So, but Michigan did pull off against Minnesota 27-24. We just can't let Minnesota back into the game, or any team for that matter, because the Gophers scored 21 in the 4th to rally late and actually put up a fight with Michigan. They had a good lead, a commanding lead pretty much, having it their way when I left. And then when we left the Chili Classic, it's like, okay, there's 2 or 3 minutes left, and now it's a 1-possession game. I'm like, what happened? Did I miss something?
Yeah, I heard the score at halftime, and then when because I wasn't able to watch the early games, so it's like I was doing stuff, and I got the notification of what the score was at halftime. I'm like, okay, that's kind of what I expected. And then I got the final, and I'm just like, wait a minute, 3-point game?
What happened?
Yeah,
right.
What happened?
Khalil Mullings continues his great play for Michigan that is needed because Edwards, he's not hurt. But Edwards isn't showing up. Where is he at?
I don't know what
he's supposed to be one of the best running backs in college football, and right now Mullings is better than Edwards.
So crazy, dude. Now I could not have predicted that at the beginning of the season. No way.
Number 7, Miami on Friday night held off Virginia Tech. That was a good game. 38-34. Ohio State, as expected, they rolled over the Spartans Saturday night on Peacock, 38-7. Unranked Kentucky. Remember a couple weeks ago they almost beat Georgia?
Yeah, see, it wasn't Georgia.
Right.
It was Kentucky's actually good.
Yeah, and it's hard to win in the SEC, man.
Oh, man.
And they won at Ole Miss, number 6, 20 to
Big
17.
upset.
Yeah, and Penn State continues their running style of offense, smash mouth football. Low scoring, gritty win over Illinois, number 9. The Nittany Lions, 21-7 over number 19.
And that's over a good defense, too. So, I
Yep.
mean, Penn State's here to stay, and they're looking good. They're going to be contenders in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I thought Burkmeyer, the Illinois quarterback, had a good game, but they just they just couldn't score or make the big plays when they needed to. Though I mean, they ended up losing 21-7. But that's the way Penn State plays, though, and that's why they've always been an exceptional. Now, when it comes to like Ohio State or Michigan, they haven't had the success. But otherwise, that's the way they roll and win football games. Like the kind of football I mentioned earlier that I love. Smash mouth, we're going to run the football and we're going to win. That's exactly what Penn State does.
Yeah, it's a fun team.
Unranked Arizona got a win over number 10 Utah, 23-10. I watched the ending of this game.
That's surprising, man. I didn't think Arizona
There were
could
a
ball
lot
like
of
that,
surprising
but,
games.
Yeah.
Number 16 Notre Dame. I picked Louisville.
I so thought Louisville was going to win this game because I was like,
But it was a close game, though. It was 31-24.
and I thought they could be like contenders in the ACC. But I mean, they showed that they can contend. It's just we'll see if they're in the championship game at the end.
Well, it'll be Notre Dame because they're in the ACC now for football.
Notre Dame is?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. That's so funny.
So,
I thought they were still independent.
I thought they were too.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're ACC next. Either way, they're in the ACC. They're this year, next year. But it'll be Notre Dame against Boston College.
Yeah,
I'll have
probably.
to look at which divisions they're both in. But maybe Notre Dame and Louisville rematch in a few weeks.
Hey,
For the ACC title game. Number 23, Kansas State, 42-20 over number 20, Oklahoma State. Number 21, Oklahoma holds off unranked Auburn. That was another great game, 27-21. They got a pick 6 at the end to win it. And the big one, the Tide at home over Georgia in an all-time clash.
Yeah, that's
41-34.
what a crazy game, dude.
We're flipping back and forth. I was between this game and Peacock to watch the Ohio State, and it was 30-0, I think, at one point, or 28-0.
Yeah, it was 28-0.
20-something to nothing, and then it ended up being 41-34 Bama. That was the best college football game I've watched in a long time.
Oh, it was so good.
The comeback by Alabama was just great.
Dude, I cannot believe when I saw how that Georgia was playing early on, I thought it was so done.
Like Bama was just gonna roll them like 50-0.
Yeah, that's what it looked
right?
like. And then that comeback started, and it was just like, oh man, I'm starting to believe in this team. And then here we go, and just could not hold off Alabama. That last drive by them was so sick. That last play.
And I think Georgia. I'll have to look at their upcoming schedule here, but they still have some tough games.
They still got Ole Miss coming up. They still got a couple good teams, so it's not over.
Right. Yeah, they have. Ole Miss. I think Tennessee coming up. So it's going to be really good. Yeah, I'm looking at the Georgia schedule. So coming up, they play at Auburn this weekend, and then Mississippi State. It's 2 unranked teams. But then after that, it gets tough. They play at Texas in a few weeks.
Wow. Okay.
And who knows? It might be yours. It might be Arch Manning. After that, Florida, Georgia. That's always a good game. And then they play at number 12, Ole Miss.
That's
after
interesting.
That. And then after that, they play at home against number 4, Tennessee.
Holy mackerel.
So they still have 3 big games coming up. Do you see Georgia losing another one of those games? I do.
It stinks because it's like they're my pick to win it all. So it's one of those things where it's like early on in that Alabama game, if that game would have ended where it was at, I would have said no way. But because they came back, it's like they are such a good team and they can fight through adversity. It's just they kind of got unlucky with that drive at the end and then, of course, the pick. But I still think they have a shot. Now, I guess the question I want to ask you is if Georgia, let's say Georgia wins out, let's say Bama stays undefeated. Would that still be the SEC title game? Would that still be Georgia, Alabama? Or how would that work? Because if Alabama has a win over them.
So if Georgia were to win out, that means they would beat Ole Miss. Let me go back to the standings here. I think it would be.
That's the game we need. We need an Alabama-Georgia rematch. I mean, Georgia can seem the only team that they lose to seems to be Alabama.
Well, actually, there's no divisions in the SEC. It's straight up like
just
the
the
Big
top
Ten.
two?
The two top. So right now in the SEC, and remember, Texas is in the SEC now. So Texas, Georgia is a conference matchup. So right now, the two top teams, of course, they go by conference record, not overall. So the two top teams right now in the SEC, Texas, and number 25, Texas A&M.
Oh, because they have more conference wins, I think.
A&M's 2-0 in the conference. Everybody else is either 1-0 or worse.
So it could come down to the winner of Georgia, Texas, possibly, as long as obviously they beat Ole Miss as well. But could look like that.
Right now, so out of the let's see, the 6 teams that are undefeated in conference play here in the SEC, and then there's 2 teams that are 1-1, Georgia and Oklahoma. But Georgia is actually 8th in the SEC now. 7th is Oklahoma, and then LSU, Tennessee, Missouri, Bama, Texas, A&M.
Come on, Bulldogs. Got to get some more wins, man.
So right now it's A&M and Texas, the battle of the Alamo State for the SEC.
Crazy. That is crazy.
Obviously, that's going to change because I don't see Texas A&M making it the SEC championship.
I think it will. I think now that we're thinking about it, I think it could be that Texas Georgia game might decide.
Even just Georgia's upcoming schedule alone will determine the conference championship because, well, thankfully Georgia, doesn't have like A&M. On their schedule,
they got Ole Miss,
or LSU,
Ole Miss
but they
Texas
have Ole Miss, and they have who was the other team that was ranked
Texas?
On there? And Tennessee, number 4.
And Tennessee, that's right, yeah.
So one of those 2 games, I think Georgia loses, and now play into the factor of a 12-team playoff. Georgia's at 1 loss now. They still have 3 ranked games coming up. If they lose 1 or 2 of those, they're down to 2 or 3 losses, and I think they're out.
Yeah, it's possible, but
because there's no way a 2 or 3 especially a 3-loss team makes it in.
I think
if you lose 3,
losses,
you're done.
Yeah, I think that's a little tougher.
A 2-loss Georgia team would have to be 11 or 12.
But Georgia wins out. Georgia gets into an SEC title game, maybe against an Alabama rematch, beats them,
or Texas,
get the first round bye. Texas. I mean, so there's still situations where they could still get that first round bye, but they got to win out.
I think
at
Georgia
this point.
can still get in, but they have to win out
for sure.
I don't think they can lose anymore.
I think you could sneak them in with 1 more loss to a quality team. If they lose to Texas, maybe you could get them in there.
But if they lose to like a Florida or something,
or if they you could even argue possibly Ole Miss. If they lose to Ole Miss, they might be done. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know because then after that, when you look at resumes, it's like Ole Miss
and Alabama are your 2 losses. That's a good point.
But because Ole Miss lost to Kentucky, Ole Miss has a loss now too.
True. Oh man, that's such
so
a
it's going to get really interesting. You thought the Big Ten was interesting.
SEC is very interesting.
During the break, I'll have to look at the Big Ten standings now that there's no divisions in that too. I just want to see where they all line up. NFL Week 4 happened. Young Wei Koo actually. I'd like to say Young Ho, but
that's how it looks.
Koo made the game-winning field goal and beat the Saints 26-24.
It's like a 50-something yarder. He bombed it, man. He looked great.
Yeah, my uncle lost his bet on the Saints. So, Caleb Williams and the Bears got a win over Stafford and the Rams at home.
They looked impressive.
Yeah, 24-18. He threw a touchdown pass for the first time to DJ Moore.
My fantasy team liked that.
I still don't care. Bleep the Bears and go Pack. Speaking of the Pack.
Oh, he's talking about it.
Couple takeaways from that game. One, we need a new kicker.
Yeah.
We have 2 rookie kickers. We have Narveson, who missed 2 field goals yesterday. And then we have Carlson, who may be worse than that.
I don't know what happened to Carlson. He was so automatic when he played for Oakland.
That's his brother. That's the other Carlson.
Oh, okay. Where does Dylan?
Daniel Carlson is the Raiders kicker.
That's right. It's Daniel and Dylan.
His younger brother, Anders Carlson, is the Packers kicker.
Okay.
Rookie.
I was going to say, because I was
like,
when did
2 rookie kickers,
there?
too, that have both already got their shot and blew it.
So that means you have no kicker. If you have 2 kickers, you probably have no kicker.
Yeah, we have no kicker now. And this morning, for some reason, LaFleur still says, I have faith in our special teams. Why? We came back and only ended up losing by 2 points. So now you got to feel really bad if you're the kicker, right? Knowing that the
one of
offense
those kicks
came back.
Yep.
Right. So Green Bay will take on the Rams at home.
Jordan Love did look impressive. I will tell you that. He's impressing me every day
he threw
that I
3
watch.
picks, but he had 4 touchdown passes.
I know, and the ease of him being able to get down the field at the end, starting that comeback, he looked good. But yeah,
even
he made
on his injury, and even today they asked him how the injury was and if he's going to play on Sunday. Guess what he said? He said, "I'm not sure."
Ooh, interesting.
So, I think we would have lost by even more, but I don't think Love should have played because he wasn't moving around as much. I know he's being cautious. I thought they should have waited another week. I thought the Rams would have been an easier game for him to come back and play in.
Yeah, Vikings, man. What the heck? Vikings are playing so well. They look like the best team in football.
I think they are.
They
right
might
now.
be. They might
Sam
be.
Darnold's playing like the best quarterback in the NFL.
Especially after the Bills. I would have said before that it was the Bills, but after the Bills lost to the Ravens, which was a crazy game. After that happened, it was just like, all right, well, I think Vikings are best team in the NFC at least.
A tough rain game at MetLife too. 10-9.
Ugly game. Ugly.
In the first half, Bo Nix for the Broncos, -7 passing yards. And Aaron Rodgers put the towel over his head, and they still lost. He only finished with 60 passing yards, Bo Nix, but he had -7 at halftime.
Oh, jeez.
And that was the ugliest game I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, we'll see if there's a bounce back spot there for the.
But it was still a good win though for the Broncos. They're 2-2.
Big surprise right there. Bo Nix,
Sean Payton and Bo Nix, yeah.
Crazy.
Stroud and the Texans won late over Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence, man, the Jacks can't catch a break.
No, just
and they are. Man. I don't think they've won yet. So Jacksonville's 0-4.
They're winless. Yeah, winless to start the year.
Wow. They even renamed the stadium Trevor Bank Stadium, and they still suck. Ugh. So that was not a good luck charm. And Sunday Night Football, the Ravens and Derrick Henry absolutely dominated the Bills. What a game. Another great game by Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry, man, he's my favorite player to watch in the NFL, period. And he showed it on that first play, going 87, 85 yards, something like that for a touchdown. Just it's crazy because it's so hard to tackle him, but he has the speed of any other running back in the league. It's crazy.
I know Offensive Player of the Year usually goes to a quarterback, but Offensive Player of the Year, Derrick Henry?
You can make that argument if he continues this scoring streak and he keeps scoring touchdowns and keeps having these long runs, and just the way they use him is so awesome. It's just having somebody else there to take the pressure off of him in a Justice Hill.
And I know Mark Andrews is one of the best tight ends in the league.
What's going on with that, dude?
But it's been still nice for them having an extra blocker for Henry with Mark Andrews.
For sure. And he's good.
And having Ricard at fullback, too.
Yeah, they just have – and they have a great offensive line as well.
Ricard even had a touchdown yesterday on a fumble in the end zone that got picked up. So, great weekend of football, and Michigan, the Wolverines now, number 10, as they play at Washington. Washington's actually favored, by the way. The Huskies -3. That's interesting. So when we come back, high school sports update. We got girls golf starting next week, so stay tuned. Welcome back here on JTV. I'm David Rice. A quick here high school sports update. A lot of Saturday action again. I like that we're having sports on Saturday too. Boys cross country, Grass Lake was 11th. The Clinton Invitational, Columbia won the event. They took 3rd through 6th places, so congrats to the Golden Eagles. Hanover Horton won the Jays division at the Shepherd Invitational. And boys soccer, Jackson Christian got a win, and Jackson High over Western. And boys tennis, the Catholic High School League Championships. Luke Tropez, of course, you know him as a basketball star for Lumen Christi. He won the #1 singles title in tennis, too, for Lumen Christi. And the Titans also won that #3 and #4 doubles. So congrats to the Titans. A couple other college sporting events. Spring Arbor tied in men's soccer, and both Spring Arbor and JC won in women's soccer on Saturday as well. Girls high school golf playoffs will start next week on October 8th. Columbia Central High School golfer, of course, Logan Bentley, has finished second twice individually in the state in the Division IV tournament. One of the top 5 golfers in average, and the Golden Eagles are a top 5 team as well. So look for them to make some noise again out on the links in the playoffs, so in Division IV. And again, believe it or not, we already have some fall sports playoffs starting next week already. I feel like the season just started a few weeks ago. So next week, Division II playoffs at Coldwater. Jackson High and Northwest will play October 8th at 10 a.m. Also October 8th at 10 a.m. Division IV right here at Cascades. Addison, Columbia, EJ, Grass Lake, Lumen, Center, Napoleon, and Onstead. October 9th at 10 a.m. Division IV at Paw Paw, taking a drive down the highway. Concord, Hanover, and Hillsdale. And then October 10th, Division III, Western will play. So, and real quick here before we go, Week 6 of high school football is Friday. We'll be live on JTV from Friday night at Cometville, Cometland, whatever you want to call it, Hanover Horton High School. One of the best teams in Division 7. Hanover Horton taking on the Cook on Friday. Hanover Vandercook, 6:45. Myself, Josh Brigette, and Pat O'Dowd will be back Friday with me, and Max Fritz. So it'll be a good game for Hanover Horton on Friday. So really looking forward to it. Of course, if you followed football in the area, coming in, on paper, Hanover's a heavy favorite. And it's Vandercook's first year back in 11, man. And Hanover will control the game. That's not really a secret here. Looking at it on paper either. And Hanover's been playing great, and of course their offense, run the football, score, and eat the clock. So I expect a great game from the Comets on Friday. So this should be a good one. 6:45 on Friday. So we're looking forward to it. I can't believe we're already in Week 6.
This season is flying by. So I feel like it always does, but this one specifically, I feel like it's flying by like crazy.
After this week, we only have 3 more weeks, and then the first 2 rounds of the playoffs.
Here we go.
So we're getting right into the home stretch of the big games. So for all high school photos and video highlights and daily scoreboard, jtv.tv. I'm David. That's Adam. Go Tigers tomorrow, and we will...
Go Tigers.
That's right. We'll talk to you Wednesday. Bye-bye.